Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your sleep deprived host, Tony Cañas, and today we are suffering from technical difficulties, me being late, issues with my camera, and it's been a crazy day. And today I have with me Nicole, purposely Nicole by itself, no last name, like Madonna and Beyonce. Nicole, co founder and COO at iCover Insure. Nicole, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
It's going great, and I will be your sleep deprived guest for today, so it's all good.
Fantastic. And I didn't sleep that bad. I went to bed in time, and then I was wide-eyed and bushy-tailed at like 4:15 a.m. with only 6 hours of sleep, which I'm not thrilled about, but it happened, so it's not too bad. Uh, so we met at InsurTech Hartford,
Yes.
which was fantastic. I've been there at every InsurTech Hartford. And was this your first InsurTech Hartford?
This was our first InsureTech Hartford. Love the venue. First time to Connecticut as well, so I
Oh,
ticked that
wow.
off on my recording of all the places I travel.
Fantastic. And you are in St. Louis, right?
In
Missouri?
St. Louis. Center is what I call it. Yes.
The very center of the country, basically.
Not really, but that's what we always say.
All
Center.
right. All right, all right. My brother's going to school at KU, so not too far away. Uh, all right. We always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is iCover Insure?
We are an insurtech company. We launched in 2020. What we do is deliver the best life insurance buying experience. So we started with signing up small carriers onto our platform. It's an e-app and an algorithmic underwriting, and we get this consumer through the process in 5 minutes, guaranteed. And just over the last couple of years, it's been really successful, starting in the fraternal space, gathering more customers in the mid-range carrier market. And once we've been able to prove out our e-app and our underwriting engine and just how powerful it is to get consumers covered and easy it is for agents to sell, we're now branching off into multiple areas. The most important one that I would love to talk about today is iCover Direct. And this is spinning our platform into the direct to consumer channel.
Okay. Okay. I'm a PNC guy. I know enough about life to be dangerous, and I know nothing about the health side. But I did get through 1.5 tests in the CLU. So I learned a little bit about the life side.
More
Um,
than me. I didn't do CLU.
uh, I got nowhere near finishing, but test and a half, and then I realized that I'm a PNC guy for life. Uh, so on the life side, buying life has always been hard, right?
Yeah.
And part of it is that uh, nobody willingly goes to buy life insurance, right? It's something that is sold, or and it's not required like a lot of PNC, right? The
Yes.
government's not forcing you to get it. There's no lender forcing you to get it, etc. Um, and nobody wants to think about their death, right? Which is ultimately what life insurance is. So historically, it's been sold through the agency channel, and I my experience has been that if PNC carriers are behind on technology and conservative, life carriers are even more so. And I don't know what causes that, but it does seem that they're always like PNC insurance is 5 years to 10 years behind banking, and then life is behind that.
Yes.
Uh, so
You
I
nailed it.
was when I was a sales manager at Allied, part of Nationwide. Right, my agencies were very PNC heavy, but we were encouraged, mandated to get them to sell a little bit of life. And I found that it was very, very hard to do that. And part of the reason it was hard, not only were they not very, very trained at doing it, but also the underwriting process for life historically
Yes.
has been a royal pain. We're talking like have a nurse come to your home to draw blood
Yes.
and wait weeks kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Uh, so that was my experience with life. Okay. So with iCover, 5 minutes. I'm assuming that you mean term only and fairly low value term.
Nope. That's the
Okay.
beauty.
Okay. So,
Yes.
so, so what kind of products can you underwrite in 5 minutes?
All products, all of the life insurance products.
Okay.
And
Um,
so even though you don't know a lot, you do know the key elements of what we're talking about. I loved, and this is why I like talking to PNC people, because they just have a different perspective. And I think sometimes in the life industry, it's always slow to lead, fast to follow. And I say, not even so fast, because
I
we
agree.
talk about things for a decade, and I'm like, I think we measure speed differently. But I love when we know that the business is different, the data is different, the need, the marketing, the sales. But sometimes because we always lean on that idea that you can't do better or marginal increments, we don't innovate as fast as we should or could. So I want to tell a little bit of story about why I'm so passionate about this product. It's not just a professional nerdy kind of thing to do. It's really very personal. So I can very easily tie my personal story into what motivates me and why myself and Hari decided that we wanted to start iCover. So if this goes to like that consumer buying experience and that pain that is in the process, and it also intersects with how you don't always think about it because it's not sexy, it's not fun. I'll go to the ends of the earth to search for a really good shoe deal for designer shoes, but I won't spend near as much time trying to buy life insurance, and I think I'm kind of normal. But I'm going to go back in time about 20 years, and it's really like, wow, 20 years have passed. But 20 years ago, I was a young mom. I had two boys. They were, we call it twins the hard way. They were a year apart, and they were 2 and 3 years old. And my husband was going to school. So I was the maid breadwinner, and he was in the process of pursuing a degree and changing career. So I was the main breadwinner. And we, as you can imagine, are super busy. I know a lot of people can really relate to this, whether they're moms or whether they're college students. You know, we're lots going on in our life. And even though I was in the business at that time, we just never found the time to get the insurance. And part of it was because of the process. We didn't have time to sit down with an agent and go through an ugly, painful paper process. We didn't have time for a telephone interview. We certainly didn't have time to have a nurse come and do blood and urine, et cetera. So we didn't have coverage. And I knew better. But you always think it's not going to be me. And we had a terrible accident in our home, and my husband ended up passing away as the result. And here I was, the main breadwinner, so I was lucky that I was the income winner for the family at that time. But I had two young kids, and then we're facing, just the expense of daycare for young kids. It can really knock people out. So I didn't have the coverage that I needed, and part of it was due to the process, which was awful, and the availability. And when you meet with an agent, they're always telling you you need $2 million. And as a young family, maybe you can't afford that, but that doesn't mean you can't get something that makes sense, that can really help you through difficult times. So I'll fast forward, was working at a big reinsurance company here in the Midwest, bounced between their technology, their automated underwriting, gathered a lot of intelligence, and there was a lot of conversation about innovation. And I always call it a lot of R, no D, meaning a lot of research, a lot of conversations, a lot of PowerPoint decks, but where's the execution and where's the real innovation? And it's not for lack of trying, but I think there's something in the life insurance company, the DNA of those organizations, that make them excited about being innovative, but also they always talk themselves out of it, right? So that's where I met my partner, Hari, and he's a former entrepreneur, exited a company, and he was looking to start up something new, and we paired together and we said, we can do this. Let's take our intelligence, let's take the information we've gathered, let's take our passion and step out and do something. And we created iCover. We did a couple of things with this application to really, we're like, what's the real time frame that customers are looking at? So carriers are always thinking, if I can, take something from 6 weeks to 5 weeks to 4 weeks. So they're always thinking in terms of months or weeks, and any kind of improvement is, yeah, we did it. And agents are thinking kind of in weeks and days, but consumers are thinking in terms of minutes. And until you can relate to that and deliver that, you're never going to get to that solution that really resonates with the marketplace. So we first looked at foremost, how do we deliver a great customer experience and what does that mean? And we're like, it's 5 minutes. And the research shows that any time that process of getting that offer is beyond 5 minutes, then you start to drop off. Any question beyond 10 and people just start to drop off. So we designed a way, we rejigged the process, designed a way to ask those questions, capture those disclosures that is unique to iCover. We're the only one that does it. And then we underwrite as we guide that consumer through that journey. So you're guaranteed to get to the offer in 5 minutes. So you know what you're going to be paying. And then from that point, you can choose, gosh, what makes sense for me? I know you're saying $2 million, but what can I really afford in my budget? And it changes the way that agents can sell. And so they're selling the value of coverage as opposed to you need $2 million. So
And
that's the history.
so first of all, thank you for sharing that. Um, Sorry to hear that you have to go through that. Amazing that you're building what you wish had existed.
Yes,
Um,
that's
so
exactly it.
so when it comes to technology that you've built, it sounds like it it, it sounds like the problem wasn't really old technology, which I'm surprised about. It sounds like the problem was a process that was thoroughly not built, a product that was thoroughly not built around what the client needs, but rather built around our underwriting process. Because I kind of expected that you would go into uh, the application process brings in a whole bunch of outside data so that you don't have to answer a lot of the questions, so that we still get the information, but you don't have to answer a lot of the questions that traditional life insurance asks. Um, and maybe that is what happens in the background, but I find it very interesting that really what your focus on the way you describe the application is more behavioral psychology
Yeah,
based. It's more like all the research says that if it's more than 5 minutes and more than 10 questions, people it's too painful. So we built it to be that.
that's
Uh,
where we started. Yes.
so I am curious. Are you leveraging a lot of outside information during the quoting process, like a lot of outside databases in order to get the underwriting data you need, or
We do.
were we taking a lot of data we really didn't need in the old process?
These are really great questions. So we did start first with that customer experience and how do we drive that process and how do we get what would typically be an application that might have 24, 25 questions, and how do we get that into, you know, a really short journey and not lose the protective value of asking and getting that consumer to disclose. But we do leverage data. And so part of it is a process, part of it is technology, and part of it is the data sources that are available. So it's all sort of coming together now that makes it easy if you're smart and how you piece it together. So not necessarily so easy, but now is the time to really deliver what the industry has been talking about for 20 years. So part of what we do is the way that we ask those questions. All of the other companies out there, they do what they call reflexive questions. We've all seen this, right? Where you answer yes, and then the moment you answer yes, you can get anywhere from 5 to 10 more questions just about that one question that you asked. Oh, you have any kind of endocrine, diabetic, respiratory, heart, and you say yes, then you go in, and that alone can take you 5 minutes just to get through that tree. So we do it differently. Our approach is what we call QE, and it really is you disclose the condition and we give you anywhere from 2 to 5 answer options. That's your disclosure for that condition. And we created QE based on this idea of polling and surveying because they have a similar goal. Get the person through the poll or the survey, get them to answer the questions as accurately as possible, and phrase those questions and those responses in a way where you can actually leverage that data to produce accurate results. So we merged that in with underwriting, and the QE responses, for example, for diabetes or depression or a heart condition or cancer, those, you just have to answer one option about which one best represents your disclosure. And we used AI to look at what were the key elements that were necessary for that consumer to disclose that condition so that we could rate it. So that's just on the disclosure piece. And you need to ask those questions in life insurance, because if you don't, then you don't have any real recourse to do contestability if somebody lied. So you can't always get rid of the questions, but you can redesign your app smarter so that you don't have to ask 35 questions. So that's the first thing we did. And now, like the data, we don't use any of these data sources that the regulators frown upon, right? There's a lot of conversation about AI, and our underwriting engine is an algorithmic engine. So the regulators don't like you to use information that would introduce any kind of bias. So we use the standard typical data sources that are available in the industry and that don't really trip over the line with regulations. No household, no race, no religion. We don't use location. If we can't tie that data to the direct individual that we're underwriting, then we don't use it. So we use the typical Milliman RX histories. There's a new data source that, not new, but it's now at a point where the hit rate is substantial enough where it's effective in underwriting, and that's medical claims, also known as DX. So anytime you go and have a doctor's visit or have any kind of encounter with a medical facility or a medical individual and it's part of your insurance, that gets recorded in a database and it's available for us to use. So that really helps. The advances in digital health records are available now. We're seeing upwards of 50 to 60% hit rates. So if you have a smart enough engine, you can tap into these data sources, bring them in, and that can help you judge and decide whether those disclosures, did they under-disclose, did they fail to tell us that they have these conditions, and then you can rate based on what you find, not necessarily what you're told on the application.
Okay, so you go in and you build this better process, significantly better process. Then you go to the life carriers. How was their reception? How long did it take to get a life carrier to actually go for it?
Oh wow. So we launched in 2020. So it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, is the way I would describe it.
Absolutely.
It was tough because, as you know, things shut down. And even though people were working, we're not ready to take a risk to do anything new. It was
Much
more
less
like
now.
survival mode, right? In so many different businesses. So we hung on there and we persevered. And what we said was, once we come out of this pandemic, these carriers are going to be excited to move forward because they're going to recognize that doing things remotely is not just a pandemic thing, but people actually like being able to, not have to physically go somewhere to conduct business. And so it was tough. 2020 was tough. We looked at the different market space. Working with top tier carriers takes a really long time because there's just a lot of people involved in that decision-making process. So middle tier, trying to find those companies that were really eager to innovate and were willing to take a risk on a new company. So we were lucky. We connected with an individual called Jim Sorbo. He's a distribution guy, well known, spreads a lot of positivity on LinkedIn, but he got us connected with a couple of individuals at the fraternal carrier space. So our first client on the platform was KSKJ Life. The thing about working with some of these smaller carriers is that all of the other products that are out there that are sort of competitors are priced out of that market space. So they come to these carriers with $1 million price tag. If you want to get on their e-app platform and plug in, they're not the easiest to work with, they're expensive. So we worked with this really wonderful carrier. They were eager to move forward. They really embraced risk and change, so they had the right mindset. And we're really grateful that they took a chance on us. We launched them in 90 days. So that was the other thing. We wanted to create a platform where you could go and totally launch within a 90-day time frame. And we did it, and they were the first ones. So we then started scooping up other fraternals in the marketplace, and then we started not just starting with one product, but our carriers, they loved the product, the agent reception was good, the agent adoption was phenomenal, and then we started, all right, let's bring on your next product and your next product. So we're up to like 16 carriers right now. We're also working with a top 5 carrier in the life space, and we went from near tears in 2020 to just 30 people on staff, and really just now we're spinning into our iCover direct to consumer marketplace.
What 90 days is very fast in PNC. 90 days is lightning fast in life.
Yeah.
So I always ask what the implementation is like. So if I'm, if one of the listeners runs a small life carrier, a fraternal or whatever, I'm sure there's a ton of those. How do you integrate with my systems, or are we completely replacing the systems in 90 days? At least the underwriting system,
Yeah.
quoting and underwriting.
So part of it is the way that we designed the platform to be as low code, no code, configurable as possible. We do all of the work on our end to configure it. So we don't want to burden that carrier client with too much having to learn this and learn that. So we created the platform so that, when I talk about the customer experience, not only does the buying customer need to have a great experience, the agent who sells needs to have a great experience, and the carrier who comes on our platform. So we looked at experience across the board and said, how do we deliver a great experience for them? Because we know it is super difficult for any company to do business as usual and then try to do an additional project or onboarding or new implementation. So we kept that in mind in the design. So we do a couple of things. One is we have preset templates that we work with, so we're not working from a blank page. And you don't have to make all of these decisions that are already made for you. So we go in there, we have a kickoff, 3-hour kickoff with the client. We review their application. We come in with templates because we're redesigning their insurance application, handling the filing process, because you want to redesign that application to suit this really great buying experience. We can take existing applications and put them on the platform, but this is the opportunity for the carrier to really clean house and modernize. So we come in there with templates for all of their forms, their application. So they make maybe 5% tweaks to suit their business. We have our underwriting catalog that has all of the conditions scored and the algorithms configured based on the typical industry expectations. And then we just make some minor adjustments to align with their risk profile. We walk through an onboarding spreadsheet just to make sure that we're going to configure the system, and it's done inside of 90 days. We do have 2 options. So at the very end of that journey, so it's how does that carrier get the application and the payload? So we can drop the files on a location and they can pick it up and manually enter it. That works if they don't have a lot of volume. But we also have a payload, and while we're configuring iCover, the carrier is working with that payload to make sure that they can ingest the data and the application into their system. And it's 90 days, real consistently, we hit that 90-day mark.
All right. We, one of the issues we have in PNC when we switch an underwriting or a coding system is renewals. Uh, I'm assuming, but I might be wrong, that in life, really, like, the policies tend to stay on the books for decades. So the renewal process is just different. But
Yeah.
basically, what I'm wondering is there a need to move the old book to the new platform, or really like what you're focused on is the writing of new business?
Yes.
Okay, so that the renewal book can stay where it's at. Uh, what
But you
so?
bring up an interesting
Mhm.
point. Like life has a different challenge, and that is once you buy it and you set it and you forget it, how do you keep? So what happens in certain segments of the market is they get replaced, and so that's how some agents drive business is getting a contact. Maybe that contact has insurance, and then they replace it. So it's a really interesting balance of how you try to preserve the business that's on your books and try to prevent getting replaced. But yeah, so our platform is strictly new business.
Okay. Um, what? So we talked about implementation. What is the pricing like?
We are the most affordable platform in the market today, and we did that by design because we wanted to make sure that that the how do I say this? The insurtech solutions that were out there were super expensive, which meant that these smaller carriers and mid-tier carriers were priced out of the market. And we didn't want the fact that they couldn't get to great technology because they couldn't afford it to be a reason that they can't compete and they can't survive. Access to technology shouldn't be the deciding factor. So we also designed this platform to be super affordable. So we don't have an internal infrastructure that means that we have to price things so expensively to cover our costs. So what we do is our pricing model, super affordable. We have a very affordable one-time setup fee, and that's generally based on the product. And then what we do is we have a monthly subscription fee, and then we drive our profits through what we call success fees. So every application that is processed and approved on the platform, we get a click fee for that. So our fortunes are driven by our ability to help our carrier clients drive new volume, get agent adoption, and really use the platform.
Perfect. I love whenever the pricing is set up in such a way that it's a win-win.
Yes.
So completely, I agree with that.
And
Uh,
pricing is never the reason not to go with iCover. So if a prospect doesn't go with iCover, it's not because they can't afford us. It's because they're not ready or they're making changes or it's a not now, it's a let's talk in a year when we get our admin system updated or upgraded. But price
okay.
is never the reason.
Okay. So we talked about implementation. We talked about pricing. Um, what are the clients saying? And then we'll move over to the direct side. But so the carriers that are now on the how many carriers are now on the platform?
I think we have 10 on the platform. We have a couple that are in contracting and a couple that are in onboarding, the onboarding phase.
Okay. And for now, is it all small carriers, or are you successfully moving towards the bigger ones?
We have a large top five carrier that we are in the process of onboarding right now.
Amazing.
Yeah, that
Uh huh.
was, yes,
And
that was amazing.
Uh,
Um,
so, so uh, PNC is deeply fragmented. We have some very large players, and we have 2,000 small and medium players. Life, the large players are large, very, very, very large. So a top five player is gigantic. Um, are they coming on with like one product, or are they coming on? That's what. So they're going live with like term.
There, this one top five carrier is relaunching a final expense product.
Oh, okay.
But we have term, we have term on our platform, we have final expense on our platform, we have traditional whole life and a couple of different variations. We have a long-term care carrier on our platform as well.
Hmm.
We have annuities. Our annuity app is amazing, and it includes the suitability. And we are looking to launch a disability product on the platform as well, and hopefully a hybrid annuity long-term care product as well. So when I say we cover all products, we cover all products.
Fantastic. Um, what are the clients saying? Like what feedback? Any great client stories? How
Oh
this
my
has really
gosh.
changed their businesses?
We're we are blessed with the best carriers. I'm not just saying this, right? But I stepped out and I'm like, you're always waiting for that difficult, like, is this going to be a difficult client, difficult carrier? And we always think about, well, this is our business. It's different than when you're working in a corporate environment. You always want to be professional. You always want to treat your clients right, whether they are internal clients or external clients. But every single one of our carrier clients is a dream to work with. And we get most of our business from our clients referring us to other clients. And
Amazing.
so that's what you really want, is not just a great customer advocacy score, but somebody who's willing to not just create a survey, but in these insure tech or conferences and insurance conferences and conversations that CEOs or CMOs are having, or top distributors are having amongst themselves, that the iCover name pops up. So we get a lot of business and leads through our carriers. And
Yeah,
the first carrier that we brought on board, we did a case study at a small conference, and we jointly presented that, so that they got to share the story of how we helped them and how they helped us.
fantastic. We're almost out of time, but I am curious about the direct side.
Yes.
So yeah, tell me about iCover Direct.
Love to tell you about it. My partner Hari is a much better spokesperson for this, because this is his passion project, and he absolutely loves it. But once we were able to prove that the technology worked in the agent space, with a variety of products and a variety of carriers, we're starting to tackle the myths, and we know that a lot of companies have tried this DTC market, and they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars. There's a couple of really great success stories. But what we did is we said, you know what, we want to represent our fraternal carrier base. So iCover Direct, initially, this version of it is all about representing our carrier brands. So they subscribe to the platform. We use that money to do collective marketing, sort of like the Got Milk campaign, right? iCover Direct will market to the direct-to-consumer space, get these messages out there. We don't want it to be about death. We're doing this under the tagline of life insurance with loyalty, because it perfectly represents the carriers that are part of the platform. We love the fraternal stories. These are companies that have been around for over 100 years. They are nonprofit organizations. They are led by wonderful people. They have membership and benefits. So this isn't something that is new. It's about taking their brands and really highlighting that to consumers. And one of the things we recognized is that PNC brands are well known, but life insurance brands are not. So how do you get these fraternals to compete? And it's like, this is great, because it's not like they have to, like, oh, I know all of these big brands. I know New York Life. I know Mass Mutual. These consumers out there can really resonate with these brands, and they can get products at the iCover Direct that they can get at other big insurance companies as well. But we're reaching out to them with a different messaging, fresh messaging, and we're doing it at a cost that is significantly lower than all of the other companies that have tried this. So what can I say? It's really representing that fraternal brand, and our belief is that, with the 50% of the population that is either underinsured or has no insurance, we don't believe that there's channel conflict, right? So your agents can continue to sell to the customers that want that agent and that personal service, but there's a whole bunch of people out there, particularly the younger generations, that are very comfortable not only doing the research online, but completing and looking for a platform where they can actually complete the sale online in a 5-minute
Absolutely.
process.
A
Yeah.
1000%. I think that in PNC channel conflict is always a problem. Uh, and underwriting, turns out we have not quite figured out. I mean, how to. I mean, Geico is very good at auto, Progressive is very good at auto, but like homeowners and commercial and more complicated stuff, the agents are still very important. Even large carriers have failed at figuring out how to, uh, in a centralized, direct way, build profitable books of business. So apparently, the agent is still very, very important in that local relationship. Um, it in life, like you pointed out, the percentage of Americans who are either on or underinsured for life insurance is so large that it's just a different customer
Yeah.
than the one that works with an agent. So there's not a lot of channel conflict. Um, Nicole, it's been super interesting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Very,
you.
very, my pleasure. Very, very cool stuff. Look forward to have you back in a year or two as you guys keep growing. Uh, and if I believe his name is Harry.
Sorry. Yes.
If Harry wants to come on the podcast to kind of for an addendum to talk specifically about his passion project, we'd love to have him. Uh, Thank you very much for your time today.
Fantastic. I want to say thank you to you,
Oh,
Tony.
my pleasure.
Really so glad to have met you. Love your personality. You're a breath of fresh air in this
Thank you.
industry, and I wish you the most success in life.
Thank you.